Hello. Hello, and welcome to Unity of Merced. I am Reverend Twyla Reece, the minister at Unity of Merced. Our Sunday services, which when we are live and in the building, are at 305 West 26th Street, Merced, California. You can find us at unitymerced.org. And if you ever feel guided to give to where you're spiritually fed, we do have a donation site on our website that you can go to, as well as all the other wonderful places that you already know of. I am so happy to be here with you today. I have a special friend that I will be introducing very shortly, a dear Unity friend of 30 some years, I was thinking earlier. And my heart is just full to be able to have Patricia Keel with us. But before we bring Patricia on, I do want to share with you Unity's daily word for Sunday, February 7th. And the word is inner peace. I express the peace of God. Peace, be still. With these words, Jesus claimed his authority and calmed the stormy waters. Following Jesus' example, I too claim authority. In a stressful moment, I center my awareness in the divine presence that lives in me and expresses through me. This divine presence is perfect life, love, and wisdom. It is peace that nothing and no one can disturb. No matter what may be happening around me, at the center of my being, there is always peace. It is an aspect of my divine inheritance as near as my next thought. I release all fear and tension and embrace the peace of God. As I do, divine peace radiates from the center of my being. It clarifies my thoughts, calms my emotions, and relaxes my body. In every situation, I am a presence of peace. And the scripture is, those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3. So join me right now in this moment to just simply take a breath deep from your inner being and allow that breath to fill you and to find that coherence in your heart where your heart finds the heartbeat of the universe. And from that heartbeat of the universe, you find your holy breath and you find your holy smile. And just breathe into that space.
We are awakening to a long forgotten memory. Dawn is breaking, waves are coming in. Everybody here, standing in wonder, beneath the rain and the thunder, rising in love. Shanti Satchidananda. Om Shanti. Om Shanti Satchidananda. Satchidananda. Om Shanti. We are awakening to that perfect imperfection. Awakening in the oneness of it all. Everybody here, part of each other, sister and brother, rising in love. Om Shanti Satchidananda. Om Shanti.
Oh, and we come back into this now moment. Oh, I can still feel that music. Can you feel that music? Gently coming back into this space, into this now moment. We give thanks. We give thanks for inner peace and for complete and utter joy. Take a breath. I switch over to bring you Patricia Keel. Patricia, can you unmute, please? Hi.
Hi, Twyles.
Hi. Oh my gosh, that just makes me smile so much being with you and hearing that beautiful music, and my heart is overflowing to have you here with me. We've talked about doing this and having you actually come over to Merced, and and here we are right now.
So
Right
good.
now. Yeah. So, Patricia Keel, Reverend Dr. Patricia Keel, is a Unity minister. She lives in the North Bay in Marin County. Just to give you place. So let me give you time. In Patricia's and my relationship, we first met, you said it was 1995?
Yep.
Is that what it was?
That's when I started working at Unity Palo Alto.
Okay, so I was thinking it was a little earlier, but that does make sense. So I was employed at Unity Palo Alto, and I was becoming a licensed teacher and managing our bookstore. And Patricia was brought in to help with a capital campaign that we were working on, and we became good and fast and wonderful friends, and just kind of tracked each other through our Unity educational journeys, and have spent countless hours together. I could say so many other things, but some things maybe wouldn't be appropriate for this venue. So,
Thinking about olives.
oh, oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you were with me in the olive journey. That's a story for another time. But it has been a rich and wonderful journey. And though we don't often get together and be together, we always pick up exactly where we are and more. So thank you so much for being here. Okay. So Patricia, tell me about your Unity journey. And you know what? I just remembered one of the places I think we first met was at Unity on the Peninsula doing a facilitator training.
We definitely did there. I don't know when that
Reverend.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And
that
all
was,
that, maybe lots of Unity licensed teacher classes too before
Yeah.
95. Because I was already a licensed teacher by 95, and you probably were too. So, yeah. Anyway,
you're right. Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
a long
It
journey.
was Unity on the Peninsula. Thank you, Mary Lee. revels. That just clicked into my mind. So that was part of your unity path and your ministry. Could you please share with us a little bit about your journey?
So, yes, I was very involved with Unity Church in Marin. I was on the platform there, led meditations, became a licensed Unity teacher there, ran their sabbatical program. And then I kind of jumped over to work with the church in Palo Alto and do their 7-week spiritual growth programs, which became kind of a signature thing
That's
for
right.
me.
Yeah.
And doing the fundraising for the church. At that time, it was, and I mean, we had like 800 people on Sunday. It was a very large church. And the bookstore was like, it was a beautiful bookstore. Twyla,
That
you were
was my
amazing.
baby.
It
I,
was
I,
really, really great.
I managed our
It was way
bookstore.
more than a bookstore.
Yes.
Anyway, it was kind of it was a thriving time for Unity in the Bay Area. And Palo Alto was really one of the kind of keynote ministries at the time. After that, I began to get my doctorate with Matthew Fox, which was kind of an introduction of taking the principles of unity and the teachings of unity into a more global and ecumenical experience, because Matthew Fox was bringing in all of these teachers from different wisdom traditions. And that was my doctorate was actually in the reinvention of work. It was about bringing spirituality into the workplace. So that was kind of a taste for me of something that would ultimately lead me to India. And I went to India for the first time in 2006, having been introduced to this experience of receiving a blessing by a licensed Unity teacher friend of mine who'd been to India. And since then, I've been there 20 times. Sometimes I go 2 or 3 times a year, although this year I didn't go at all. Last time I was there was December of 2019. But what's integrated with me is I started a Unity church in Berkeley, unlike Twyla's, who actually you went to Unity Village and became a minister. I started a church and did ministry through the field licensing program, which was like a 6-year project for me. But at any rate, I had a Unity church in Berkeley for 11 years, and it was a wonderful experience. And ultimately, it felt like time for me to move on. And I've been since then doing a lot of traveling through my work with Oneness, Unity, Oneness, not two-ness. So it's been a really beautiful thing. And now my ministry is doing a lot of meditations and classes online, of course, and also doing some Unity speaking to churches online, which I get to do from my home. Makes it very easy and really kind of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. So that's been my Unity journey. It's been
That's the unity journey. So tell us more about India and the
so,
oneness and the
so
impact on your life.
yeah, it's been really wonderful to kind of experience what I knew as concept that I got from my deep dive into Unity, really beginning to take the teachings that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore have given us, the 5 Unity principles, and see how they're embedded in very deeply in all the different wisdom traditions, and how the ancient wisdom of India really not only understands those principles, accepts all those principles, but uses them to create deep, powerful experiences. So the thing that really excited me about my work in India was that I was having a physical and emotional, spiritual, and everyday experience of these teachings because of my work in India. And so that's kind of been the marriage of the two for me has been so powerful.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about the oneness teachings?
Well, yeah, I can, but I think what I want to do is
Oh, yeah, let's
I want to share a
experience
little
it.
bit about an experience I had in India. And then I want to bring it into a container that I think people who are unitics and who, really anchor themselves in the teachings of Jesus will understand this merging. When I was in India, I've had various initiations as part of my experience in India. And one of the things that I had was a 3-day experience like an initiation where I had a spiritual awakening. And, people talk about having an awakening, but what does that really mean? And so I can only share what my own personal experience of an awakening was. And the great, the great synchronicity of our daily word. I love it so much. I said to Twyla, my daily word comes automatically. I don't know what the daily word is, for Sunday, and it's inner peace. Well, my awakening was an experience of deep and profound inner peace. What happened during this 3-day time period was, on the day that they told me it would happen, which was 12/12/12, that's when my awakening happened. On 12/12/12, I had this experience as if somebody had taken like a laser and taken off the top of my head. And all of a sudden, everything became completely still and silent. And I had this image of looking down inside the top of my head, trying to see if there were any thoughts in there. It was like, is anything happening in there? It was very, very strange. Anyway, I had another day and a half to be with this just by myself because no people were around me. And I kind of went in and out of this experience of having total stillness, total silence. No, none of the yada, 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 monkey mind. I used to have this little critic. Her name was Diane. She was always telling me, oh, why did you say that? Or this is how you ought to do it, and she was constantly bothering me. Well, after I had the awakening, Diane left the building. It was amazing. And so this experience of awakening was something that I knew was part of the unity teachings in a way, and part of what Jesus is telling us about. So what I'd love to do is talk a little bit more about that, kind of in the container of what might be a normal unity talk. Let's call it that.
Let's do that.
Are we good with that?
I am so good with that. So
Yeah.
I am going to change our view so that you have main stage. And I believe the other thing that we were going to talk about a little bit is how this is impacting, all of this impacts your ministry and what you're doing in the world.
We'll talk about how this is going to impact everybody. And
Yeah,
that's
okay.
how
So you'll take that.
I want this to be for everyone. It's not so much about me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pin you from where we are?
Sure.
Is that what I do?
Yeah, this is fine.
Okay, let me know when I need to go back. So buckle up, because here she comes. Patricia is one impactful woman.
So I still see both of us, but maybe that's just how it works. I don't know. Anyway, I'm fine.
You're good. I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay. So I always love to anchor when I'm doing a talk. I love to anchor it into a Bible story, because and use like the story and understand how Jesus was always talking to us about our everyday experience, and for me, my experience of awakening, while it might have been in a container that wasn't every day because I was in India in a very dark space all by myself, but the experience that I had of this stillness of the mind, of the quiet mind, is something that in my life right now, since 2012, what am I talking? We're 9 years later, is an ongoing experience that I have. It comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes. And I think that's an important thing for us to understand, as spiritual seekers, as unity students, we're always moving into a deeper awareness of our connection with the presence of the divine. And it's that divine presence, the Christ consciousness, the way that we're allowed and really surrender ourselves to a deeper connection with the level of spirit that is our divine nature. It's that kind of opening that is the experience of awakening. And I want to have that experience with you today. And I want to give you a beautiful practice that you can use to have this experience every day as you might need to have it. So the teaching that I want to use, and I think this is really it's a really important thing for us to be aware of right now in our lives, because here we are in COVID. You know, for most of us, we're still taking the time to be present only in our homes. We're being very careful about our movement out in the world. And so the way we interact with the world can become very, very mental. It can be something that becomes kind of, we're reacting to what we see in the news. We're reacting to what somebody tells us. Hopefully we're having time to be out in nature and feel that sense of connection and flow in nature. But for many people, the experience of the past 9 or 10 months has been a very disconnected experience. People have felt a sense of loneliness. They felt a sense of disconnection from those that they love because they're not able to be physically present with them. For a lot of people, the sense of disconnection is a disconnection with their relationship with God, with the higher power, with source energy, with the Christ light within them. And so this experience of inner peace or experience of awakening to this deeper presence, this deeper knowing of who we are, is an important thing for us to be able to, first of all, recognize and have awareness when we're in that state, and also awareness when we're not in that state, and then to have some tools to be able to deal with it. So I love this story of the 10 virgins, and I'm just going to read the story. It's in Matthew. It's Matthew 25, and I just want to read the story to you, and then we'll talk a little bit about it and see how this relates to our own life and how it relates to our own sense of inner peace and our own sense of awakening. So the story is in Matthew 25. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. Those who were foolish, when they took their lamps, they took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. Now, while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. But at midnight, there was a cry, "Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Come out to meet him." Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, "Give us some."
Patricia, you froze. Goodness.
Am I?
I don't know. Nope, there you go. You're
Okay.
back. So they trimmed their lamps.
Yeah, see, my internet just said unstable too. So they trimmed their lamps. What if there isn't enough for us and for you? You go rather to those who sell and buy some oil for yourselves. And while they were away to buy the oil, the bridegroom came. And those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterwards, the other virgins who came said, "Lord, Lord, help open to us." But he answered, "Most certainly, I tell you, I don't know you. Watch therefore, for you don't know the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming." Such a curious story, I think. I think that's just a curious story, but I thought about it because it's this experience that we have often, that we know that something is happening, something's coming within us. And in this case, the bridegroom can be that which represents our connection with Christ consciousness, our connection into a deeper well of knowing who we are, our divine purpose. Maybe it's something creative that's wanting to be born in us. Something's coming. And we all are like the 10 virgins. And Charles Fillmore talks about the 10 virgins in his wonderful book, Revealing Word, which, I love this little book. If you don't have it and you're a unitic, I'd really recommend you get it. You can get it online even. He talks about the virgins, and he says that the 10 virgins represent our 5 senses in 2 different levels. And this is what's so important. And I think for me is really kind of the key of what we're talking about here when we're talking about awakening our spiritual consciousness, awakening to the Christ presence, awakening ourselves to the divine within. Fillmore talks about the idea that we have the 5 senses that are connected to the outer, that are always gathering information from the outer. We're hearing with the outer ear, we're seeing with the outer eye, we're touching with the fingers. We also have this beautiful quality of spiritual senses, soul senses. So we have the soul eye that sees with the eye of spirit. We have the soul ear that hears with the ear of spirit. And it's this aspect of who we are, this spiritual sense of who we are, that has the sense to fill ourselves with oil, to always be available when that spiritual energy is coming to us. And that's the wise virgin within us, the wise virgin within us, who constantly is prepared, connected to the oil, connected to the, kind of like the juice of the divine, the juiciness of who we are. And that's the piece of the story that I totally love, because for me, and this is part of where, I just get fired up with the blessings and the grace that I've received in my journeys to India, because we've been given so many ways to stay connected, to be prepared, to be the wise virgin, and to be ready. Our oil is going to be ready anytime we need it. When the bridegroom's delayed, because there are those times in our life when, something is coming for us and there's a delay. We may feel, I'm ready now, but oh, I'm not quite ready. Fear pops in. Usually that's what happens. It's this sense consciousness that's looking outside that says, oh no, it's not time yet. And we go to sleep, right? We fall asleep to what's available to us in our lives. And then we wake up, and if we're the wise virgin, we've always prepared ourselves with spiritual teachings to be able to hold and connect into higher consciousness. So what I want to share with you, because I don't know what time it is, I get carried away, Twyla, so you might have to flash and pull the hook on me. But what I want to share with you is what I call my ABCs. And this is a really important thing for us to focus on when we're looking at awakening to the Christ consciousness, when we're looking to be present to what's happening in our life moment to moment. Because those virgins, the wise virgins, because their lamps were filled, they always had the capacity to be present to what was going on in the moment. When they were awakened, because the bridegroom was coming, they were fully awake. They were in a state of awareness of present mind. And that's, for me, the A of ABCs is that we always have to have awareness of what's going on inside of us. We have to use the spiritual eye, the spiritual ear. We have to tune in with our inner guidance to know what's going on inside of us moment to moment. And it may be that there may be fear coming up. There may be this sense of judgment coming up. There may be some sort of anger for something that's happened, but our awareness of it allows us to be outside of that emotional experience. So being aware moment to moment, using the wisdom of the 5 virgins and using your kind of spiritual soul vision, your spiritual hearing, your inner guidance to be aware moment to moment of what's happening inside you is the first thing we need to have as we're moving into higher states of awareness and inner pace. The second thing is that we need to be aware of our breathing. Our breath is such an important part of what connects us in the physical body to the spiritual realm of who we are. The breath is the prana. The breath is something that allows us to slow ourselves down. It actually impacts the body in extraordinary ways. So breath and is that be, and I'm going to take you through a process in just a minute where we're going to do a very simple breath practice. The third thing is that awareness of our connection. We're connected not only to the divine presence within and without, but we're also connected deeply within ourselves. And we need to be willing to see what that inner connection is, feeling and looking like moment to moment. Again, using our spiritual senses to connect in. Also, we're connected to those we care about and love, our soul circle of friends and family. And how is that in connection impacting our awakening and our ability to be present moment to moment from a place of deep peace? So what I'd love to share with you now is a practice. Sometimes I call it the 911. It's kind of like an emergency practice that when we find ourselves not in that place of peaceful presence, when we find ourselves feeling stressed, we're feeling confused, we're feeling angry, we're feeling frustrated in our life, that we have an awareness of what's going on inside. I'm aware of what that feeling is. And I'm able to actually track the direction of the thinking of that feeling. Is it something that I'm kind of pulling from the past? I'm angry because of something that happened in the past and just have awareness of it. Or am I projecting some scary future with my chaotic thoughts, imagining something's going to happen that's not going to happen at all? So I have that ability to be aware of kind of the movement of my thoughts that activated this feeling, this sensation inside me. And then I have the capacity through my breath and through visualization to anchor myself in a different part of my brain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you there's a place inside your brain. It's called the Brahmagarbha. And it's a very, very special place inside the brain where hopefully you can see this picture right now. This is a place inside the brain where the pineal gland, which Charles Fillmore always talked about as the gland that activates our faith factor, the pineal, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary intersect in this place in the middle of the brain. And when we're in this place in the middle of the brain, the ancients called it the Brahmagarbha, or the womb of consciousness. It's a place in the brain where new neural networks are born, where new things are created. So we can't literally be hanging on to some old kind of emotion or fear or regret or anger, and at the same time focus our attention in this place inside our brain. So I'm going to take us through a little very short meditation right now. And actually, it's only a 3-minute meditation. And at the end of that, we're going to just call it a day. And I'm going to bring you back to Twyla's, and maybe Twyla will have something to say. But I'm going to invite you now to gently close your eyes. To close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to do what I'm going to call conscious breathing. And conscious breathing is when we breathe in and out through our nose, and we make our exhalation twice as long as our inhalation. So take a moment, taking in a nice deep inhalation, closing your eyes, and slowly exhale. And now, as you prepare for this very brief meditation, 911, I invite you to take 3 conscious breaths. And now take a moment to recognize the exact emotion that is arising in you right now. It could be gratitude and love. It could be a sense of irritation or anxiety. It could be confusion. It could be joy. Just take a moment and recognize this exact quality of the emotion that is arising in you. And now observe the direction of the movement of your thinking. Are you obsessing over the past? Are you projecting a chaotic future? Or are you in the present moment? Just notice, no need to change anything. And now move your attention to the space between your eyebrows. And feel or visualize a very tiny little flame moving from your eyebrow center into the middle of your brain. And hold your attention on this flame in the middle of your brain for a few moments. And when you're ready, you may take a moment to smile and gently open your eyes. So this practice is something you can do if you're going into a difficult conversation with someone, if you're just sitting around reacting to the news and feeling stressed. You can close your eyes and take a 3-minute break and do the 911 meditation and literally shift yourself out of that outer foolish virgin consciousness. Bring yourself into the wise virgin and really replenish that connection that you have with higher consciousness, with the divine, and bring yourself into a deep place of peace and presence. So thank you all. It's great to be with you. And thank you, Twyla, for inviting me. So happy to meet your friends from Unity of Merced.
Here I am. I'm not quite in my body. That was lovely. The womb of consciousness. Yeah. So thank you. Patricia, could you unmute for a moment, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you, my friend, my sister, so much. I miss you.
Yeah.
We will.
I can't wait to be COVID-free and I can come to Merced.
Absolutely. And
I'll come on Saturday and we'll have a Sunday hoopla.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Whew. Come back into my body, but I love that image of the conscious womb. So beautiful.
New things being born all the time, you know. And if I'd really had more time, I would have talked about the marriage and the male and the female and the creative consciousness. I mean, it's so just much. It's a huge, beautiful image for us to take, and you know, we can make our own story about it.
Yeah, and you are such a master of metaphysical interpretation. I've always appreciated that.
It's our Unity gift.
Patricia and I could go on and on, hugging and loving on each other. But for now, we will just say thank you all for being here with us. And we go out knowing that the light of God surrounds us, The love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is truly love. And so it is. See you next week.